Thank you very much indeed for that introduction and for coming to this event today. It is indeed in all three capacities that I'm interested in this story. As a non-drinker, I'm almost never in bars. But if all bars were like this, I might look at that again. Because this is, to say that you have made a magnificent job of the saving of this building and the transforming of this building into sustainable regeneration is to understate it. It's a quite magnificent building, and it's been quite magnificently rehabilitated by you. And I'm keen that the word bookend that you threw out there isn't lost, because actually this is the perfect bookend to this part of town and would be the perfect stop to that end. And I was just saying to the architect before we started here that it's rare for me, when asked to get involved to try and stop development, to have alternative plans, logical, rational, profitable alternative plans that can be proffered to the developer and the authorities concerned in exchange. Normally it's no, no, no. And when you're only saying no, 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 you usually lose. But I think because we have this alternative, that we have a very real chance of success, which is why my colleagues Kevin Ovenden, Rob Hoveman have been so busy with the owners and the other campaigners in trying to progress this campaign to save the light. Save the light is a wonderful slogan. It's a wonderful slogan that's meaningful in this case when you stand on the roof terrace and gaze at the gigantic towers that are there already and are in the offing. We're not against development. I'm personally not against development. We want economic activity here in the city, and we realize that the city needs space to expand. We believe in development, but it has to be, to use again your phrase, sensible development. Sensible and sensitive development. Sensitive to the heritage of the area to which it abuts, and sensitive to the local people and their lives, and not just the local people, because of course one of the things that's attractive about working in the city as opposed to, say, working in Canary Wharf is that when you're finished working in the city, there's a really attractive piece of London to repair to wind down, to wine and to dine. And that of course would be destroyed were the light bar to go, or at least one of the jewels in the crown of this whole area of Brick Lane, of Hoxton, which is one of the most attractive parts of London. And we must save it. We must save it not just for the people who live here, but for the people who enjoy it after their work over there. So I believe we've got a very good case. And the architects, as they've explained it to me, and I saw it on paper before, but seeing it in real space is even more impressive. I believe that we ought to be able to persuade those who need to be persuaded that this light bar should be saved. It is a part of the heritage of this part of London, and there are many other parts that I'm involved in. The Repton Boxing Club, for example, in Cheshire Street is one I was at just a few days ago. The George Bar, quite a bit away from here, being another. Historic pieces, not just of architecture, but of social heritage of the East End of London, that we really must try to save for posterity. And it's not, we're not being Luddite. We don't want monuments. Monuments don't move. This moves, this jumps, as I understand it, this place. And that's one of the other reasons why we need to save it. Now, Hackney, it seems to me, have not lived up to their responsibilities in this. The planning committee And I think the planning officers, if I'm not speaking out of turn, would like to save the light bar. Indeed, their extant planning decision was to include the light bar in the conservation area. But not only now do we face the destruction of the light bar, it's clear, if they've thought it through, that destroying the light bar will almost certainly destroy at least 4 of the buildings in the conservation area to the left of us here. And so you'll see being eaten away the very conservation area that the council has designated as being important to preserve. The Mayor of London has to take up his responsibilities in this. He's often criticised for favouring skyscraper developments too much. I personally think there may be some validity in that, but we've been pressing him, not just here but over there, to call in these developments for review if we can't stop them any other way. And of course, the Minister in Parliament will have the ultimate responsibility, and we'll be pressing him or her to call the development in if we need to. But much more sensibly would be an agreed solution, wouldn't it, with the developer, along the lines of the alternative proposals that have been made. If we can show intelligently that this can be a rare battle in which everyone can emerge a winner. They can have their profitable development, they can make their 200 or 300 million pounds from that development. We can save the light bar, and London can have this wonderful place saved for posterity.
James, the light bar, can you give us some context to the current problems around its new ownership and Hammerson's plans?
Yes, the problems are that Hammerson have got a scheme on this land that they own the freehold to, and also the adjoining land owned by London Borough of Hackney, to knock down the light, put a 51-storey building in its place, and further buildings equating to about 1.5 million square feet. And that application went in August. We've tried to talk to Hammerson to try and come to a compromise. They're not prepared to play ball, and so as it stands at the moment, this building could be demolished if the application succeeds.
You want to save the bar, but are you anti-development in any sense?
Certainly not. I'm pro-development. I'm pro-sensible development. And going back to when we regenerated this building, because this building had been semi-derelict for some 30 years, the buzzword then, back in the sort of mid to late 90s, was sustainable regeneration. Everybody wanted to see sustainable regeneration. Well, this is a prime example of that. That policy should remain, and we should see the best of the old with the best of the new.
All right. Now, I know you've worked on alternative plans for the site. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, we've instructed the well-known local architects, Willingham Associates, to come up with an alternative scheme. That is going for pre-consultation in the next week or so. It's a scheme that was drawn up at the end of last year and has been modified, and so it's a good and proper scheme, and it's comparable in scale to the Hammerson scheme. So it's a win-win for everybody, for Hackney, for Hammerson, for Shoreditch, and also it sees the retention of this building as well.
Your relationships with Hammerson, I mean, have they listened to you at all, do you think?
They have listened to us. They haven't sadly have not seen the sense that we see, and our fight has to continue. But hopefully Hammerson will take a rain check and take the best policy and do the right thing and keep the light, as well as doing the redevelopment of the adjoining site.
Mark, the light bar, can you give us some context to the issues surrounding its redevelopment or the proposed redevelopment by Hammerson concerning the light bar?
Yes, I've come into this through James Goff, who's the owner, and I've worked for him for a number of years, so I know the area very well. And he said that there was a big application in. I didn't actually see the public exhibition for that, but immediately there was some degree of controversy because it was proposing to knock this building down. And he said, what do you think of all this? It's a conservation area. And the opening argument was the conservation principles. And I said straight away, well, no, this is more than that. We don't want to just be saying no to developments. This is a cusp of development between the city and Shoreditch and Tower Hamlets and Hackney, and that we need to find a solution that brokers both aspects.